Hello BookTube, welcome back to my 2026 library tour. This episode begins the final bookcase of the history part of my collection. This bookcase is a large 5-shelf bookcase with two, what I guess you can call wings on either side that I think were probably added in the design for knickknacks, while the bulk of the shelf would be devoted to books. Ideally, these little wings would be good spots for plants or various knickknacks. So I'm going to start on the two wings for this episode and the next episode, and then for the final week of the history part of my collection, I will be doing the shelves themselves, or the middle shelves themselves. So let's get started, but also before I begin, there will be some parts where I will be ducking out of camera to reach the lower the shelves. So let's get started. So the first wing is devoted to Texas history, starting with Big Wonderful Thing, A History of Texas by Stephen Harrigan. This is a massive, magnificent history of the state of Texas in the United States. It's my home state. And this is one of the histories that really got me to love history back in 2020. This is history as it should be written. I also have Unsettled Land from Revolution to Republic, The Struggle for Texas by Sam W. Haynes. So this is a history of Texas that looks at the settling of Tejas by settlers from the United States, their conflicts with Mexico, who at the time held possession over what would become Texas, the rebellion, the years of the Texas Republic, and the annexation of Texas by the United States. And I think this also goes, if I remember correctly, up to the Mexican-American War. Pretty good book. Took me a little bit to get into, and if I remember, I think I reviewed this for Open Letters review. An older history of Texas is Rough Country, How Texas Became America's Most Powerful Bible Belt State by Robert Wethenow. So this came out about 10 or so years ago from Princeton University Press, and I think I picked it up from one of their sales. I think that's how I came by this one. And a more recent history of Texas is Texas, An American History by Benjamin Heber Johnson from Yale University Press, which I have not gotten around to yet. And I know for sure I bought this from Yale. So on to the second subshelf. This one is devoted more to Native North American history, starting with Fifth Son, A New History of the Aztecs by Camilla Townsend. So this is a history of the Aztecs. It is pretty good. It goes from their origins, the beginning of the Aztec state, to the early years of the Spanish occupation. Pretty good book. It won the Kindle History Prize in 2019 or 2020, I think. 2019. Let's move you over here for a brief second. This is The Rise and Fall of Mayan Civilization by J. Eric S. Thompson. Pretty old book. 60 years old. Picked it up from the Friends at the Library book sale, I think. Or maybe from St. Edward's University. one of the two. Have not gotten around to it yet, though. I think there's a new history of Maya civilization coming up from Princeton. This is Lakota America, a new history of indigenous power by Pekka Hamalainen. I don't think this is translated, though. No. So this is the history of the Lakota people, and presents a rather controversial argument about them. Hamalainen has also done a book on the Comanche, and I think he has a new one out as well. The Heartbeat of Wounded Knee, Native America from 1890 to the Present by David Truer. So this is a history of more contemporary Native American history, and is pretty good. And I also have Native Nations, A Millennium in North America by Kathleen Duvall. This won the Pulitzer Prize, as well as the Bancroft Prize and the Kundal History Prize. I have not gotten around to this one yet. I don't think. Okay, let's move this on back. Okay, next shelf. This is mostly going to be Spanish history and Spanish North and South America. Or contemporary South America for the last one. And also some Portugal. So first is Raised to Rule, Educating Royalty at the Court of the Spanish Habsburg, 1601 to 1634, by Martha K. Hoffman. This is a pretty interesting, if very academic, look at the court of Philip III of Spain. The Braganzas, The Rise and Fall of the Ruling Dynasties of Portugal and Brazil, 1640 to 1910, by Malin Newitt. So this is a dynastic history. Have not read it. Lost Paradise, The Story of Grenada by Elizabeth Drayson. So this is about the city of Grenada in Spain. Did not get on with this book at all when I tried to read it a few years ago. Next is America, America, A New History of the New World by Greg Grandin. So this is a history of the Americas, like the whole of the Americas, but haven't really gotten into it. Conquistadores, A New History of Spanish Discovery and Conquest by Fernando Cervantes. I don't know if this is translated. Does not look like it is translated. But this is a pretty interesting history of the conquistadores. So next is the Chile Project, the story of the Chicago Boys and the downfall of neoliberalism by Sebastian Edwards. So this is some Chilean history, particularly how American academics, particularly the Chicago School of Economics, influenced the Pinochet regime in Chile, and how that sort of wrecked things. Okay, the next shelf. So this next subshelf is mostly about the Nile River and magic. So first is River of the Gods, Genius, Courage, and Betrayal in the Search for the Source of the Nile by Candace Millard. So this is the story of the conflict between Barton and I'm forgetting the other guy, who went together to find the source of the Nile River. and came to some conflict over what that source is. Not Burton, I think, was more right than Burton was in the end. But I did not particularly get on with that book. The Pharaoh's Treasure, The Origin of Paper and the Rise of Western Civilization by John Godet. Have not gotten around to this yet. I am rather shocked that I still have Papyrus, The Invention of Books in the Ancient World by Irene Vallejo, translated from the Spanish by Charlotte Whittle. So this is a weird book about various forms of literature and what forms that literature takes. It's not just about papyrus. It's a lot more than that. It's weird nonfiction. So next is Explorers of the Nile, The Triumph and Tragedy of a Great Victorian Adventure by Tim Gill. So this is an older book that covers the same subject as River of the Gods. I also have, this was upside down, The Nile, The Life Story of a River by Emil Ludwig, translated by Mary H. Lindsay. And I don't remember if Ludwig is French or German. So now on to the magic. First is Magic, A History from Alchemy to Witchcraft, from the Ice Age to the Present by Chris Galston. So this is a history of magic in the sense of certain traditional practices, but not a huge amount of woo-woo. It is very academic though, and some places get a lot more coverage than others, and some of the more neglected places really should have had more coverage. And America Bewitched, The Story of Witchcraft After Salem by Owen Davies. So this is a look at American magic practices, mostly influenced by European settlers. Pretty good book. Owen Davies is a specialist on magic, so he's pretty good, what I've read of him. Okay, now on to the final wing, which will cause me to disappear for a little bit. So, I shall be back. Okay. So, the overbook is the Greeks and the Persians from the 6th to the 4th centuries by Herman Bingston. Have not read it, but I'm pretty sure this is about the Greek and Persian wars. And it is translated by John Conway. Not entirely sure from what language. Probably French, I would think. So let's put this up. So this last shelf is an assortment, but mostly I think ancient history, or 3 ancient histories and 3 random books. So, From Alexander to Cleopatra, The Hellenistic World by Michael Grant. Have not read it. Age of Conquest, The Greek World from Alexander to Hadrian by Angelos Cheniotis. I do not believe this is translated. No. This is a really good history of the ancient world from Alexander to Hadrian. It's really good. It is a bit academic, but it is very good. The Fall of the Dynasties, The Collapse of the Old Order, 1905 to 1922, by Edmund Taylor. So, I have not read this yet. I'm pretty sure this is about the deposition of various ruling houses in the 20th century, not just in the post-World War I revolutions like the Romanovs and Hohenzollerns and Habsburgs, but also the Qing dynasty in China. this book is also pretty beat up. And not by me. This is Porcelain by Suzanne L. Marchand from Princeton University Press. And I have not read it yet. And I don't remember where I got it from. But not obviously from Princeton because naked hardcover. And the last book is Strongman, Mussolini to the Present by Ruth Ben-Ghiat. So this is the story of a number of dictators and would-be dictators. And discussing about how they come to power, how they keep power, and how they ultimately lose power. Pretty good book. Okay. So that was the first wing of this bookcase. I will be back tomorrow with the second wing, and I think this method worked pretty well. So I think I will do this for the next wing as well. Anyway, BookTube, until I see you tomorrow, thank you, have a great rest of your afternoon, and stay safe.